update.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening and welcome. We are live. It is Friday. Keep thinking it's Saturday. I don't know why, but I do. But it's not. It's just Friday, but we're here. We're here for another Friday Night Live. Everybody should be off work tomorrow, hopefully. If you're not, that's a shame. You should be. If you guys don't mind hitting the like button as you guys come in, it really does help the channel grow, pushes it out into the algorithm. I'm going to write something down really quick so I don't forget. I want to try to do open panel, but you know me, I always tend to forget to put the panel link in the chat. So I'm going to write myself a note really quick. And I'll turn on my camera here in a minute too. I've been filming videos all day today. It's been a filming day. So it's on Court TV right now. I wonder if they'll put it on there like after he's done. Do you know how like they do that on YouTube? Like I wonder if they do that like News Nation does. Let me see. Because I'm leading into that. I can't believe he's on Court TV right now. Whoops. Oh, I don't have it live. That's what it is. Oh, hold on. I wonder if it'll come on here afterwards. Let me see. I can't remember how we watch Court TV here. Like if we even have it at my house. Huh? Let me turn on my camera there. But yeah, I'm not sure if we even have it at my house. We usually like, I don't know. I have so many different apps. But if you guys wouldn't mind just hitting the like button, helps the video. What else do we have? I'll drop the members link in the chat if you want to become a member. And then I'm going to remember to put the panel link in the chat today too. But yeah, I've been doing videos all day, so we'll have a couple new cases coming our way. So I figured we could do a little recap of what what's going on. So is it on there right now? Do you know what it's under? Like, let me see. And it was Court TV. I'm looking under their videos, but I don't see any. I just see one for 5 hours ago. Let me go back to the home. And if you can find it, actually, if you can find it and just send it to my email, and then I'll have it. I can't believe this. Okay, so we got a lot to talk about. We have some stuff to talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and see who's all in the chat. Let me see. Not on YouTube. Oh, here we go. Like if I go into maybe courttv.com, I'll try that. Okay. You just watched it on TV too? Yeah, Lori, I'm segueing into that. That's actually like my last thing on the Murdaugh thing to really talk about, but it's a doozy. So let me see here. What do I have wrote down? I was like writing some notes. I've been trying to write notes today because I did so many videos today. My brain is like circuiting out, I think, a little bit. So don't mind me on that. So let's see who's in the chat tonight. I saw Amanda was in here. Good evening. Summer. Leslie. I thought Kelly D. When you guys were both in here, your names for some reason, I don't know why. And it must be like the picture because it's like a black and white almost picture. But I was like, I didn't realize that it was both of you guys were in here until I had to look like a second time. I was like, wait a minute. It's like, there's two people. Miss Linda's here. Well, good. We got Alicia, we got Lori, Drew. One hell of a night. That sounds like me every night in my 20s. What's going on? So basically, we're just going to go over Alec Murdaugh. We'll go over what's going on with him, and then we'll go to talk about what's kind of going on with Bryan Kohberger. And the thing that I want to show you I can't even show you yet. I have to wait, but it's just so crazy. So the first thing I wanted to show you was Alex's brother speaks out for the first time since Alex was sentenced, and it's just a short clip. It's even actually shorter than I think the minute 28 that it shows right here. But so we'll see what Alex's brother says. Also, what life is like for him right now inside of prison. How they're dealing with him being a high profile inmate, things of that nature. Also, Maggie's nail tech has come forward. So she has some damning statements that she's going to make. Also, what's next, going forward for Buster and for his girlfriend. And social media has not only invaded their lives at this point, but they're invading their personal space at this point. Like there's people going on their property, looking in their vehicles. They've had to make police reports, which I have one of those, and we'll go through that. And then I guess the person that we're talking about, one of the creators that was on there, that does this. I guess he was on Court TV and he spoke about it today. So I'm dying to know what he had to say for himself, because who the hell does that? Just goes and sits and stands in people's yards. Even the news don't do that, Hey, Magic. Hey, Glowbug. Hey, guys. Hey, Samson. Oh, let me look at your doggy. Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, boundaries, media boundaries. Yeah. Especially if you're not even media. If you just put the hat on and you say you are, then then you need to go home. Especially if you're not supposed to be leaving the state. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll start off with Alec Murdaugh's brother speaks out for the first time. And if you guys could tell me in the chat, I don't think they let us know. Is this going to be the brother that was in the courtroom with him all week? Let me know if you guys know that. And if not, I will Google it. So it was him. So Randy's the one okay, so it was the one that was sitting in court all week. I think he wanted to say more too. He only said a little bit, but we got something out of him.
All right, thanks so much. We're hearing new reaction from family members following the Alec Murdaugh murder conviction.
Yeah, Alec's older brother Randy is speaking out for the very first time. In an interview with New York Times, he says, quote, Alec knows more than he's saying. Just last week, Murdaugh was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences for the murders of his wife and son, Maggie and Paul. They're in the middle of your screen there. They were found shot to death on the family's hunting property in Colleton County. That was June of 2021. On your screen now, this is a look at Murdaugh's latest mugshot released just yesterday. The once prominent Low-Country attorney is still being processed at Kirkland Correctional. He will be transferred to a different max security facility once the process is complete.
A Colleton County jury found Murdaugh guilty of killing his wife Maggie and son Paul 1 week ago today. The trial lasted 6 weeks, but the deliberations only lasted just 3 hours. One of Murdaugh's defense attorneys, State Senator Dick Harpootlian, has been very outspoken since returning to Columbia this week, and he recently took to Twitter to say, quote, I took an oath 49 years ago, and it means something to me. Everyone is entitled to legal representation, and I look forward to working with Jim Griffin throughout the appeal process for Alec. To the naysayers, you have a misunderstanding of our justice system. I suggest you read the Constitution, end quote. We've been following the story from the very beginning, and we will continue to bring you the latest updates on this.
Coming up on...
That was all that it was. It was very short, but I just wanted to show it to you guys, just so you guys had a little bit of a understanding. I guess the family's going to come out and start speaking a little bit. They probably are going to try to save their own ass. To me, that's what I mean, whether they did anything wrong or not, that's not, I don't know. But I think that in this situation, Alec kind of fudged the whole group, if you know what I mean. Like, they all decided to go in and practice law. And I guess he sunk the ship, They were all on it together. Like, I don't think there's any coming back from this. Like, I know that they changed the law office's name, so maybe that would help. That's going to help. But people that are in the media area are still going to know who they are, and they're probably not going to want to go there. Oh, you did? Okay. I want to write that down so I don't forget. I won't forget. Don't let me forget, but I won't forget. Okay, and then I'm going to drop the panel link. Oops. Well, maybe. If I can do it right. And then if anyone wants to come up, and they can just kind of hang out on panel with me and talk the cases through if you guys want to. If not, that's fine as well. But I'll try to keep putting the StreamYard link in the chat. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to pin it if it'll let me. It won't let me. Maybe if I put like this in. Like if I do it like that. Nope, it just keeps wanting me to open it because I keep hitting the, oh well, I keep hitting the link part. So I can't pin it, but that's okay. The next thing I wanted to show you guys was just, you know, about Alec Murdaugh he's locked up in isolation right now. And it says, as defense attorney faces death threats. So we'll hear about Dick receiving, I guess, death threats. And Alec Murdaugh, you know, his stay in jail right now, which he's not in South Carolina Correctional anymore. He's in Kirkland or something, they said. Is Randy older than Alex? Oh, I don't know. I think Alex is older. And John Marvin is the youngest. I think it's Randy, Alex, John Marvin. I think so. Oh, wait, Lynn. Oh. They had a sister. I didn't even know they had a sister. That's how much I knew. I mean, about the family. Like, you know what I mean? Other than the immediate family, really. That's so crazy. He testified on stand and cleaned up Paul's mess at the crime scene. Yeah, he did. He did. He did do all that. He cleaned all that up, and I can't even imagine what he went through. Oh, no, we like it. You could be nosy. We like that. So let me go ahead and play this one here for you. It's not very long. And we might talk through this one a little bit.
And we have some updates for you, too. So we now know that Murdaugh has been placed in one of the most secure areas of Kirkland Correctional Institution in Columbia, South Carolina. And that is because there is concern that other inmates might have it in for him due to his notoriety. Murdaugh, a once prominent attorney turned convict, is serving 2 life sentences for killing his wife Maggie and son Paul on their country estate in 2021. The South Carolina Department of Corrections say that Murdaugh is being housed in a single cell with just a bed, toilet, and sink. He even eats alone because he's not allowed to mingle with the other inmates during mealtime. Kirkland's a facility where new inmates...
I didn't mean to stop it already, but if he's in isolation right now, he's doing pretty damn good. Okay, he's able to sleep when he wants because he doesn't have the noise of the other inmates directly beside him. He doesn't have to like be handing out beef sticks or honey buns to be getting the remote for the TV because I'm sure they have a TV in there just for him, and he can play with the remote as much as he wants without having to give up any food for it. I think that he's probably doing pretty okay right now, but he can't stay in isolation forever. They're only going to house him there so long. When is his appeal? That's what I'm going to have to figure that out. Hopefully they'll say it on here. I know that they filed it. I wanted to look for that paperwork actually. So maybe I can find that when we're listening to this. Because I know that I saw it on Twitter for sure. So let me play this for you guys.
It's go to be processed and evaluated before usually being sent on to other prisons, but Kirkland also houses maximum security inmates. The South Carolina state senator who represented Alec Murdaugh at his murder trial, Dick Harpootlian, says he's been getting emails from people saying he did a good job, but also emails wishing him harm.
People feel compelled to express their opinion on things through the internet. Somehow they got a hold of I guess it's on my website, my email. I really wanted that big case you had, but that's not what they chose to send me. Most of it was very positive. A lot of it were people that were watching this in Germany or England or the Netherlands, or I mean, wacky. I don't know, they don't have anything else to do in those countries, but a bunch of people here also gave me suggestions on a daily basis what we should do or how we screwed up yesterday. But the folks that sent me the, you are a rotten piece of scum, and I hope you die of, let me clean this up a little bit, rectal cancer, you know, what, they have a misapprehension of the system.
Harpootlian went on to say that he's taken an oath as an attorney to treat all clients with fairness and integrity, regardless of the crime that they're accused of committing. Murdaugh's defense team has vowed to appeal the verdict. And we now know when another case connected to the Murdaugh family is going to go to trial. The family of Mallory Beach, the 19-year-old.
I just wanted to let you know when the appeal was. It's before they started to go into the Mallory Beach crash. So it says on here, let me see. It says Alec Murdaugh's attorneys file notion of appeal, and the convicted family annihilator smirks in his new mugshot, because you can see a picture of him over here. So that's his new mugshot, which I did put that on the community tab. I put a before and after, like I put his first booking photo after he was sentenced, and then or convicted, and then the one right after he was sentenced or something. And one of them, he looks like kind of more hollow. The second one, he looks like this. He looks more of a man, like, you know, more of a, like, he's like, you can see his skin color more here. He's not a man, he's a boy. But you know, he's smiling. I don't know. He's not as frail looking as the other picture. That's what I was trying to say. But let me show you let me go back and show you the rest of this. So this is the actual appeal. This is all that it is right now. It just says the state of South Carolina and the Court of Appeals, appeal from Colton County, Court of General Sessions, Clifton Newman, Circuit Court Judge, has the case number. The state and respondent Richard Alexander Murdaugh in the appellate court. Now, notice of appeal, Richard Murdaugh appeals his convictions and sentences in the cases referenced above. The sentences were imposed by the Honorable Clifton Newman on March 3rd, 2023. So he did get a haircut. Yeah, he got his hair all buzzed off. Someone said they took his eyebrows too. Like, and I was like laughing really hard because they really didn't take his eyebrows. They're just so light. So compared where he didn't have any hair anymore, they were just like, yeah, they took them off. They kind of took his eyebrows. So let me go back to where we were listening to this, but I wanted to show you guys that. So they did put in for an appeal. He's not going to get one. He's not. I don't think it's going to happen. But I mean, I'll always stay with it and stick close, you know. And I'll let you know, those documents just came out like earlier today.
Who died in a crash involving the Murdaugh family boat filed a wrongful death lawsuit against them. The trial date is now August 14th. Mark Tinsley, the attorney for Mallory Beach's mother, says that Paul Murdaugh was heavily intoxicated when he and 5 friends got onto the boat in 2019. It crashed into a bridge pylon, sending Mallory into the water. Boaters found her body 8 days later. Tinsley says that Paul was given preferential treatment by law enforcement. In January, the Beaches actually reached a settlement with Maggie's estate, as well as Buster, Alec Murdaugh's only surviving son. The 2 remaining defendants in the wrongful death suit are Alec and a convenience store where it's believed that Paul purchased alcohol using Buster's ID. So Brian, eating alone in his cell, constant monitoring, a 45-day evaluation process. What does Murdaugh's life look like right now?
Extremely isolated, Jesse. Now, it might change after that 45-day period, but right now, if he's getting the resources that keep him safe, this being a maximum security unit, or at least a maximum security unit existing within Kirkland, he might actually stay. What they do is they're looking at the resources that they have both at this location and all other locations where he can be housed. what's the population of those other prisons? Do they need more people or less people there? Do they have enough officers there to take care? And in the meantime, he's going to be very segregated, very by himself, and it's going to feel like a very, very long life sentence.
And Terry, 2 life sentences consecutive. He's not getting out. Why is it so important to investigate the other deaths like Miss Beach?
You know, it's important because the families have to have some sort of closure. If you think about it, there is obviously Mallory Beach, but there's Gloria Satterfield, there's Stephen Smith, and they're investigating all of these cases to determine whether or not there was any foul play. And as it relates to Stephen Smith, you know, the fact that he was found in the middle of the road, but now it seems like he might have been killed and placed there. Gloria Satterfield, was it an accident? Did she actually fall down the stairs? And Mallory Beach as well. So we'll see what happens, but it's important for these families to have some kind of closure.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have a question. Oh, sorry. I have a question about the Mallory Beach thing. Who's going to pay out that money? So let's say they take it, they get a lawsuit, they get a judgment, they file a lawsuit, they get a judgment on, I guess, Alec. Where's the money going to come from? Does anyone know? Because that's just insane to me. Like, I mean, if he has no money, he has no money. How's he going to be affording these lawyers? I think he put $600,000 back for his lawyers, but that's only going to get you so far with these two. 18 freaking. Remind me not to ever hire neither of them guys unless I want evidence in a murder trial twice. Those guys were like watching Cat Dog, the old cartoon show. Like they were complete idiots. Yeah, he's definitely in limbo. You're definitely right. I cannot understand this to save my life. And I think that's why I keep even covering this case, because I'm just like, how can you even do that? So overseas, but if the money's overseas, right? Okay, say there's money and it's overseas, this has to be money that is like obtainable. Do you know what I mean? It has to be money that he has right now. It has to be some sort of asset, like a house or property or money somewhere. Or they're not going to be able to give her a judgment. They're Maggie's estate. I can't remember whose Maggie's estate was going to. I thought that was going to the Satterfield children, I think. I think Maggie's estate is. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But it's just so weird to me that, you know, your money's only going to go so far. Yeah, you're not doing drugs anymore, so you might have more of it. But, you know, I don't know. Those whole time, yeah, they're going to beat him. He's not going to do well there. He's just not. But he's going to have to account for that money, though. Even if he pays for a lawyer. Okay, so if he's paying for a lawyer, they're going to know. People are going to be like, okay, how's he still affording these lawyers? And they're probably going to be like, where is he getting the money? Don't you think? I would think they would do that. I don't know. You don't think he'll off himself? I kind of think he will. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. I'm really on the fence with that one. Because he's been in there for a while. But I think he thought he was going to get out. And I think once it sets in, he's not getting out, then I don't know. Really? I wonder how many people are selling him money. That's crazy. Buster's in charge of that money? Okay. Because for some reason, I thought I heard that the Satterfield kids were getting the money from the estate. Okay. I just wondered. I figured, because y'all can help me, you know? You guys are always good at helping.
Absolutely. Every victim matters. And sticking in that area of the country, 2 South Carolina officers are being commended for their actions after they pulled over a woman for driving erratically. She had originally been reported as a drunk driver, but the officers quickly realized there might be something.
I think this is all of the video. I didn't get to watch all of this, but I want to make sure. So I want to make sure I don't miss anything. But I think that was all of it on this one. Yeah. Let me just kind of share this one so I can kind of go through these and close them out. So yeah, I was going to ask that, Summer. So do you guys think that Buster is going, so I don't know a whole lot about the Stephen Smith case. I kind of know the basics about it. I don't know like how, I know that him and Buster were like, supposedly he was maybe tutoring him, but that's all I kind of know in that. So I wonder if something's going to come out of that. And if there is, we need to do a deep dive. A deep dive. I like saying it like that. We need to do a deep dive on Stephen Smith, because I think that would be a good idea. Commissary is expensive though too. You gotta be thinking he's gotta get him shirts, socks for the rest of his life, underwear. They don't give you those things free. You don't get socks, t-shirts, underwear. You don't get any of that for free. Like your undershirt, that white undershirt that people you see like criminals wearing, they even have to buy that from commissary, which is crazy. I mean, you think you'd get one pair, but no. You get some shoes. Sorry, I was reading the chat. I get quiet sometimes. If I do, that's why. If you guys are just now joining us, we are talking about Alec Murdaugh. We're going to be talking about a little more about him for just a few more minutes, and then we'll move on to Idaho 4. And if you guys wouldn't mind smashing the like button, it does help the channel grow. It brings more people into the chat. Also, if you wouldn't mind, subscribing to the video, we'd love to have you guys. And I'm actually going to do something really quick. Let me see something. Sorry, guys. I forgot to do this earlier. And I'm just going to put it like on subscriber only mode just because it's easier that way. Since we only have like, I think it's only Summer in the chat tonight. And then if I don't put this in here, I'll forget. So I'm just going to do this really quick. Sorry, everybody. Love you all. Thank you so much again for being here. I really do appreciate it. I do so much. You guys could be doing anything else with your Friday night, but you want to spend it with me. I love that. Oh, it's okay, Ina. But there's no connection. See, I don't see the connection, Miss Linda, myself, but I didn't know if there was something I didn't know. You know what I mean? So, okie dokie. So let me go ahead, actually, before I forget. Alex can only spend $60 a week. Oh, but that's balling in jail. I'm going to paste this, the StreamYard. If you guys want to come up on panel or anything, say your thoughts, just let me know like before you come up. That way I don't leave you backstage. And I can grab my headphones because sometimes I need those, I guess, now. But Ina's here. She's like, I'm late. It's okay. Okay, so we'll go ahead and... So this one's going to be Maggie's... Oh, oopsie. I accidentally hit the wrong button. Sorry about that, guys. What was I going to say now? Oh, so Maggie's, her nail tech has come forward. And I guess she was saying that Maggie was like going to get a divorce from him and some other stuff. So she had a couple of damning statements to make. So let's watch this clip here, and then I may stop it maybe halfway through.
Line 18, who is this text message from?
The text message, it shows the client or the chat ID is 1-803-942-1227.
Is that Alex Murdaugh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is the time of this message?
The time of this message is June 7th, 2021, 11:05:55 p.m. To correct to minus UTC is going to be 7:05:55 p.m.
Okay. And what does the message say?
Paul says you were getting petty. Call when you get done.
And there are two exclamation marks after petty, correct?
Yes, sir, correct.
Showing some, and petty, you would understand here to mean pedicure?
Yes, sir. To the best of my knowledge, it is.
Just a petty, not a mani-petty. I guess just a petty? I don't know. Anyhow, we know that sometimes if you go to that same nail technician, like going to the same hairdresser, sometimes you have conversations, they get to know you a little bit. Chanley Painter today spoke with Maggie Murdaugh's nail tech. Take a listen.
When you found out, what were your first thoughts as far as how and why and who was responsible?
Well, when I recalled that she told me she was getting a divorce, I just assumed it was the husband because, you know, in most cases, that's how it goes. And then little by little more started coming out with Paul and, you know, just everything. And we kind of put two and two together. And from the beginning, we assumed it was Alex. But like I said, we've heard different stories, so we weren't sure what to think.
I'll call your next witness.
So, Aaron, you were actually subpoenaed.
I was. I had to talk to a couple of SLED agents and I believe he's the assistant to the Attorney General. They wanted, you know, just to know what I knew about Maggie and the things we talked about, and basically just what I knew about Maggie. You know, they seemed pretty desperate when they were calling and asking around. I think that they had heard that Maggie told me she was seeking a divorce is why they were so adamant at talking to me. She did tell me she was on Edisto permanently. She told me she was seeking a divorce. She did mention one time that she was looking for some sort of investigator.
So why do you think they didn't actually call you during the trial? You said you were glad they didn't, but...
Yes, of course. I think it's because there was no way to prove anything. We could prove she was my client. We could prove she was there. But we couldn't really prove what she talked about with me and with Alex and all the family. Basically, everybody saying that they were in a happy marriage. The state basically told me that the defense would call me a liar, so there wasn't any sense in getting up there and testifying.
Maggie was sweet. She was kind of a free spirit. She was always up for anything that was going on. She loved her family. She loved her boys. Buster and Paul were her world.
One thing about the trial that you mentioned is you don't think Maggie was really represented well as far as her memory and who she was.
She did get skipped over a good bit. I felt like she was made a victim, and, you know, she was much more than that. She was a mother, a friend, a loving wife, and I would love people to remember that because she loved people and was loved. She was much more than a murder victim.
How do you remember? I know she was your client for a while, and
she was always very happy. I always saw her with a smile on her face. Even when she was having a rough morning and showed up in her pajamas, and, you know, she was always smiling. She was always very happy, probably to be on Edisto, because, you know, she loved it. She always talked about going to the beach and talked about her boys coming down. I think my boys are coming down today. She gets very excited about that.
The state versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Indictment for murder. Guilty. Verdict.
I'm happy with the verdict and the sentencing. For sure. Whether he pulled the trigger or not, I believe that they are dead because of his actions. So I'm very happy with the verdict. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but
a lot of people agree with it too.
I know, but I do have a lot of people who disagree with it.
Yes, because you're in this community, and the Murdaugh name was so.
Yeah, and most of the people do agree with me, but there's. Every now and then we have that one person who is very adamant that he had nothing to do with this. It makes me wonder if maybe they know more than we do. I don't know the Murdaugh family personally to tell you much. I know that they are very large figures in the political field here. And they usually get their way. That's the gist of what I know. They usually get their way.
One thing she said, Chanley, that really struck me was that, and I felt the same way, that Maggie just wasn't represented at this trial. I walked away from this trial. I was like, I really didn't get to know her. I know very little about her. And it was interesting that she came away with the same sort of feeling.
She did, and that's one of the reasons she wanted to speak with us, is to give more information about who Maggie Murdaugh was. She she did her nails for a long time and did her manicure. I love my manicure, by the way. Great job, Erin, there. But she did it a week before her death. She remembers what color she painted Maggie's nails that day, and that Maggie was someone who came in. And, you go to the nail salon, Vinny. I don't know if you go to the nail salon, but it's a girl talk, right? Like we were having with Erin about what was happening, and you say things and you share things, and you get some feedback from the girls in the salon, and that's kind of how she knew Maggie. And Erin told me that she would sometimes bring one of her dogs, called Shrimp is the name, to the salon. Maggie loved dogs. That's something that, of course, we've heard throughout this testimony, but she really did love dogs. And her boy, she would always talk about Buster and Paul. And so that's what she wanted to bring, is more life to who Maggie was, because she, like you, felt that was something that was missing in this 6-week trial.
Yeah, we didn't even get it at sentencing either. No one spoke. There was no letter. There was nothing for Maggie. Matt, we're gonna run some of the video now of you getting your pedicure.
All right.
I'm gonna put a viewer warning up before we show that, however.
They're going to love it. I'll get a lot of people slide in my DM constantly after they see those feet.
Actually, so Matt, what are your thoughts about the status of their relationship? We've heard mixed things at the trial. We really didn't hear anything negative necessarily that was going on to a large extent. Where do you think they really were, this couple? There were, I mean, financial pressure a lot of times can put pressure on a relationship.
Well, you've got the financial pressure. You've got the pressure of knowing your husband is an addict who has tried numerous times, from testimony, to try to dry out. I think he only did official rehab one time, I believe, but mostly it was him doing a detox. So you've got that pressure. You got the pressure of all the boat crash lawsuit that's coming down, possibly your son going to prison. There's a lot of stress involved in that relationship. The fact that Shanley's source right there is saying that she openly talked about divorce. We've heard rumblings of that, but no one has been able to track down an attorney. But of course, an attorney is going to still have that privilege. They're not going to want to come out and say, she saw me, because who's going to go see that attorney if they're, in a relationship and they're in a big money situation? They're not going to go see that person. So it's hard to believe that there weren't, it was as all peachy. Nothing's ever as peachy keen as people say, right? And then you add to it all these layers of issues, and Maggie spending a lot of time in another home. It's mind-boggling that it could be as lovey-dovey as I think the quote was at one point.
And Chanley, the other part of this trial is we heard so much about the way Paul was shot, and rightfully so. The angle, the shot to the head, the brains splattered. But not a lot of time was paid to how Maggie died. To me, she's like hunted down by this guy.
Yes. Yeah, Vinny, and we didn't hear a lot about that, maybe because it wasn't a point of controversy between the experts as we thought. But, what was so powerful in the prosecution close, and another interview that I'm going to bring you tomorrow with some of the deputies here, exclusive content where they talk about what happened to Maggie and what they think. She was going towards her baby, is what we've been hearing. And that sends chills down your spine, that whoever was chasing her down, hunting her down, shooting her multiple times, even missing, she wanted to go towards her son. And the last thing, one of those deputies told me, Vinny, the last thing she saw was Paul, her son, die. And it's just horrible to think about what she went through. And that's something, again, as you said, we didn't hear as much about as how Paul died.
Yeah. Well, we do know who's responsible for both. His name is Alec Murdaugh, and he's now...
Yeah, someone was saying on their channel, I think it was yesterday, they kept using the word allegedly, like Alec allegedly. And I'm like, no, he's been convicted, y'all. I was like, there ain't no allegedly about this situation. He is convicted. He did it. So, oh, League of Their Own is on. That's my favorite movie. I almost started singing the song at the end. Wow, y'all would have been in for it. I'll do it. I used to love that movie when I was little. It's probably my favorite. Tom Hanks is probably one of my favorite, but he's probably my favorite male actor. because of that movie. That's where like one of the first movies I saw him in. But yeah, A League of Their Own, it's very good. It's on TV right now, but don't y'all be hopping off here to go watch it or nothing, okay? DVR that or whatever. So, you know, yeah, he did the same convicted and he confessed, yeah, to the financial fraud. So I don't know why he's even going to go to court for that. He's just going to court for that so he can get out of jail for a little while. Like, really? Might as well, I guess, you know? I mean, he's already in there for 2 life sentences. He's probably just going to want to just get out of jail for a little while. I mean, that's usually what they do. So this one's a shorter video, and then we're going to get to the coup de grace of this whole half of the live. He got 99 problems. Yeah, he does. Literally. If they like get rid of a 1 or 2, that'd be funny. Okay, so I'll play this next video. It's just about Buster. It just says, you know, what's next for Buster after his father's conviction. And then we'll talk about what's going on with him and his girlfriend right now, or fiance. Which I will have to say, Buster's fiance, I don't know her personally, but she's got to be pretty freaking, like, pretty awesome of a chick. I mean, she sat through 6 weeks of, like, listening to that crap. You know what I mean? Like, you know she's an outsider. So you know she probably saw the writing on the wall way before Buster did. So she's probably sitting there going, really? Really? You know what I mean? Like, I think that I just give her credit for sticking through it. I mean, I love Vincent and all, but I don't know. I don't know if I could sit through 6 weeks of that bullshit that we saw. That was just a complete shit show. It just was. So do you think that, and how long have they been together, Buster and this lady here? I was reading the comments, all right. Oh, yeah, Forrest Gump. I love Forrest Gump. You thought Buster was gay. I don't know what he is. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want to. She was who Alex was asking her to send money to some other prisoner's account. Really? I didn't hear all of the jail calls. I just heard like a couple of them. I wish we would have went through those during the during the trial. Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, share. If you guys wouldn't mind liking the video, it does help send it out to the algorithm. Also, if you're just now joining us, we are talking about Alec Murdaugh. We're getting ready to go over to Idaho 4 here in just a moment. I don't have that much for you. Just wanted to play you the News Nation clip from last night and the one from the night before that we didn't get to watch last night because I want to pick it apart a little. So I'll go ahead and play this clip here for you guys, and then we'll get right into that.
Mr. Murdaugh was at his father's trial every day. The unmistakable red hair, hard to miss.
Guilty verdict.
Now that Alec Murdaugh has been sent away for life for killing his wife Maggie and youngest son Paul, his oldest son is the only member of the immediate family left. But he's not entirely alone.
Buster's world will never be the same. He does have a very loving family and support group. I can't even imagine to lose everything in your life that you've known. Everything in your life that you've ever known.
And it is all happening under a relentless spotlight. On Sunday, according to a police report, Buster Murdaugh called the sheriff's office, telling police he observed a suspicious gray Dodge Challenger outside the residence. Buster's girlfriend said the couple was being followed by the media.
How does Buster feel about your guilty?
But police can do little about the attention that grew intense during the 6-week-long trial, especially after Buster took the stand in his father's defense, describing the moment he learned Maggie and Paul were dead.
I was in shock.
What kind of condition was he in? What was his demeanor?
Yeah, his demeanor was, he was destroyed. He was heartbroken. I walked in the door and saw him and gave him a hug and just broken down.
When the verdict was announced, Buster put his head in his hands. But a bystander outside the court suggested there was even more trouble ahead, as Alec Murdaugh was escorted away by police. He was apparently referring to the 2015 death of Buster's high school classmate, Stephen Smith. Smith's body was found on a rural road a few miles from the Murdaugh's sprawling property. It was ruled a hit and run, according to the pathology report. But Smith's mother doesn't believe it.
It was more than one person that done this, and somebody knows. And they set him up on that road to make it look like a hit and run. I think he was beaten to death.
Authorities reopened the case in 2021 while investigating the murders of Maggie and Paul, although they have not officially named anyone in the Murdaugh family as a suspect.
Looking forward, there are signs the Murdaugh family is not a united front. One of Alec's brothers, Randy, recently spoke with the New York Times, telling a reporter his brother, quote, knows more than what he's saying, that in his opinion, he, quote, is not telling the truth, guys.
I mean, the layers and layers here. Alec Murdaugh still faces all those charges on the financial crimes, but what happens there could affect Buster as well, presumably?
It could potentially, and it's a little unclear what Buster's financial situation is going forward. But if it's any indication, we know that Alec Murdaugh had that staged murder of himself that failed, that he also faces charges, according to his attorney. And his hope was that after his death, his son would get those $10 million from a life insurance policy. Obviously, he had some concerns about the financial future for his oldest son.
All right, Stephanie, thank you very much.
All right.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and lead into the next thing I wanted to show you. So basically, there have been people, I want to use the word, let me figure out how to use this word the right way. There are certain creators that are out there that aren't media, that aren't press, that even if they are media and they were press, it doesn't give them any right to go into somebody's yard, be on their property, to be looking in their windows, to be looking in their vehicles. I don't care if you, I mean, this is insane. Okay, so this is what's going on. Let me just tell you what's going on. Basically, Buster and his fiance are trying to live their life without, he's trying to live his life without his mother, his brother, and his father. I couldn't imagine being in that position. Whatever his past may entail, whatever that is, we'll get to that bridge when we cross it. But as of right now, what I know about Buster, I couldn't imagine being in his position. So then he has to now worry about protecting his home. He thought maybe the worst criminal was his father, got his father in jail. So he probably thought, okay, now maybe I can relax. Nope, not quite yet. Not quite yet. So, Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. This is an investigation narrative. It's a police report. So, this is from Brooklyn White, who is Alec Murdaugh's son, Buster's girlfriend. And this is what the interview says. It says, White and her boyfriend, Richard Bustard Alexander Murdaugh Jr., dang, that's a long name, had recently filed a report, related incident, has the number, due to reporters taking photos of their residence. Since the initial report was filed, the behavior of certain members of the press has become increasingly unsettling and frightening to her. On the evening of 3/6/2023, White exited her residence and witnessed a reporter looking into the windows of her vehicle. White is familiar with this reporter, who she identified as Jonathan Lee Riches, JLR, on YouTube. White explained that for the last few weeks, Riches have been following her and Buster while at the courthouse in Colton County, South Carolina. She is unaware of how Riches found her residence. White showed me a YouTube channel called Jonathan Lee Riches Investigates, which includes video Riches has posted heckling Buster at the courthouse. Over the last few days, White has noticed other unidentified members of the press in the area surrounding her residence. I can only imagine who those people are. White witnessed these other reporters taking photos of her walking her dogs. She further explained that members of the press have been going door to door in the neighborhood attempting to gather information on her and Buster from their neighbors. JLR, you did this before in the Michael Vaughn case. She does not know the identity of other reporters, but stated that there are 2 of them and both were white males with gray hair. Although those other unidentified reporters are intruding on her life, White's main concern is regarding Rich's and his behavior at her residence. And you know why? Because that was at her freaking residence. Who does that? And why is this someone on court TV right now? That's what I'm asking too. Yeah, so I have the video. So it's on his page. I didn't know that was on his page somewhere, but I'm going to still play it. I just played it to, I just fast forwarded to the part where he's on it. And hopefully he doesn't try to copyright it. But if he does, I'll just fight it. Trying to read your chat. But yeah, man. Wow, that's insane. He was all over the graves the last few days, like the last couple days that he was down there. He was I'm just like, get away from them. Get away from them. Like you have no right. It's sick. It's like, and this is the kicker. Let me see here so I can get this right. Because people investigate him all the time and I don't need to. So we'll just go to the investigation pages. So JLR is on, I guess, federal probation right now. And that prevents travel. So if he's traveling, then he's breaking the law. If he does not have any, if he doesn't call his parole or probation officer or whatever, it's parole for him, then he's not allowed to cross county lines, let alone state. Yeah, I'm really upset with Court TV. I'm going to play it. And then we'll go on to that next. But this is insane. Okay, so how long is he on here? Because I can't watch him for very long. It'll kill me. Oh, he's on there for a minute, isn't he? Okay, we'll play it. We'll just see.
Buster.
Actually, I think I'm going to put it up 1 times the speed or something. Just so maybe, I don't know. It might help my case a little.
So, I kept asking him questions. He wouldn't answer. So after the trial, I seen a lot of media outlets down there at one of the homes Buster Murdaugh stays at in Hilton Head. So I went down there to see what was up, maybe tried to get Buster to answer the questions or, try to get an interview out of him. And there's lots of media out there. It's a circus out in front of his house. There's lots of media taking pictures every time he comes out, walks his dog, every time he goes walking. And I was out there and she actually, I guess Brooklyn, a female, walked out of the house and walked to her car and some reporters started yelling questions at her about Buster. She immediately went in the house and closed these blinds, but then Buster peeks out of the blinds, he looks, and then he closes the blinds. And then about 15 minutes later, the police come.
Is he a freaking idiot? Are y'all listening to this? He said she went in the house and pulled the blinds because she saw something freaking weird. And then he said, and then Buster looks out of the blinds. Are you freaking kidding? Are you really for real? We might not even be able to go to Idaho tonight with this guy. Okay, I'm going to try not to pause it. I'm going to try not to do it.
And then tell all the media outlets, well, you guys are on public property because it's a public road out there and a public sidewalk. You're not breaking the law. Just don't trespass on their property and just do not knock on their door, go on their property. And we all agreed, said, okay, fine. That's good. Thank you for your service because we back law enforcement. And I was sitting in the car and then all the neighbors.
Walking up to her car and putting your head in the window that's her property.
Are coming out shining flashlights at all the media's face saying, get out of here. You guys are media hounds. Get away. And I left. And then next thing I know, I see that a police report has been filed with my name and this woman here, I don't even know, name dropping. I could care less. Not to be mean again. I could care less about her. I'm not there for her. I'm there for Buster.
Let me bring in another guest in Columbia, South Carolina, criminal defense attorney Lori Murray. Lori, down in South Carolina, where's the line? Where's the line between investigative reporting, trying to get a story, asking questions of someone who's in a public controversy versus harassment or stalking or anything else? Where's the line in South Carolina?
Well, it's repeated unwanted contact. It's following them wherever they go. It is sitting outside their house and watching them and just making them feel like they are not free to move around. And honestly, I mean, that it is kind of what the media is doing. I'm not specifically mentioning your guest, but the media in general has been really hard on Buster, and he's going through a rough time. I think we have to all agree that he is going through a rough time. And if you have any empathy at all, then you have to recognize that. And he needs a little space to get over it. He needs a little space to be able to walk his dog. But there is
so how much space? I mean, if someone is walking down a public street, can we ask them questions in South Carolina?
I mean, you can, but it's his right not to answer them. And I don't think that, I mean, I don't know why we have to take something away from the fact that he wouldn't answer his questions. I wouldn't answer his questions. I would ignore him too, because if he gives one guy questions, they're just going to keep flying at him. And honestly, it's paparazzi. It's, you know, it's just, none of the Murdaughs wanted any part of that. But, you know, there is a point to these two reports. They have to have two reports to get a restraining order against the police. So that's why they called the police. That's why they have reported this to police. I'm sure it's nothing personal against your guest. I'm sorry, I cannot remember your name.
Jonathan.
But Jonathan, thank you. I appreciate that. Sorry. But I'm sure it's nothing personal against you, but you have to have two police reports to get a restraining order. And this restraining order will go more than likely, if the judge is smart enough, against all media, not just you personally, but against all media back off of Buster and his residence.
And I just want a little more clarity, right? Because I've been in news for a long time. I mean, you go back to 60 Minutes, Mike Wallace chasing people, right? So what's the difference? Like, what's the difference here between a situation like that? Is it how close in physical proximity you get to him, or how often you were close to him in South Carolina?
I can't tell you. I can only tell you what our statute said. I don't know where he was. I don't know what their statute was. I know that over time, we have gotten a whole lot stricter on stalking laws. You know, there've been, especially in South Carolina, we had a brand, I think this is actually a new stalking law that is on our books. And I say new because it was new to me. It's probably 20 years old now. But you know, there was a reason that stalking law was enacted. It wasn't because of media, but it applies to everybody, that harassment. Yeah.
It applies to everyone, she said. So whoever this lady is, I like her. I definitely like her. She's like, not to talk about the guy that's up here with you right now, but I like that. No, I don't think anybody can stand. Well, 20-some thousand people can stand JLR. That's the thing. Because he has that many subscribers or more. I just don't understand it. I guess it's a kind of like when you're just like watching, you know, something bad happening and you can't take your eyes off of it. He wants it in the butt so bad. Pin Dizzy got it right. She nailed it because the dude's like freaking felon and he's going out of the state. Yeah, she refuses to say his name. I like her.
To get the restraining order, you have to have the two police reports.
So, Jonathan, have you been contacted personally by law enforcement or by anyone representing Brooklyn or Buster?
No, law enforcement, again, they came out that day and said that we were all following the law. We were on a public sidewalk, public road. We have the right to be there. Just don't, you know, violate by going onto someone else's property and trespass. I want to add that, you know, if Buster Murdaugh said out of his own mouth to me personally, hey, leave me alone, I would leave him alone. I would walk away. But I haven't heard nothing out of his mouth. As far as Brooklyn, I don't know her and I can care less about her. This is about getting questions from Buster. Maybe he should tell people he doesn't want to speak. But the fact that he's silent, we don't know if he wants to speak or not. He hasn't said to anyone, hey, I don't want to talk or leave me alone. He has yet to say that.
So you're down in Tampa right now, Jonathan. You on a different story? Or are you going back to South Carolina?
I am. I'm going to follow the financial crimes of the Murdaugh family. Lori Vallow Daybell is going on trial in Idaho starting April 3rd. I am planning to go out there. Also cover the Moscow, Idaho case with Brian Kohlberger, preliminary hearing.
I have a feeling I'm going to be seeing a lot of you, Jonathan. I'm going to be seeing a lot of you. I'm going all these cases. All right.
Vinny, I'm all over. And that's my job. And I know that, you know, there's laws you have to follow, and I try my best to follow them.
All right. And I wanted to make sure that you knew what you can and can't do in South Carolina. That's why I brought in Lori Murray. She's the best of the best down there. So don't get arrested.
She's very smart.
Yeah, she is.
Well, and here's the thing.
We have 15 seconds. Go ahead. Last word,
15
Lori.
seconds. You did not break the law necessarily. They're filing these police reports just to get a restraining order. It's nothing personal against you. It's just to get the restraining order. They're not seeking to press charges against you.
We got to the bottom of it.
Thank you for the clarification.
Fantastic. Jonathan.
Did she say that? I'm gonna have to rewind that again. Did she say something like oh my lordy, okay, I gotta rewind her because I like her. I'm just gonna rewind her for just a second at the end. She said something about They're not trying to press charges on you or something. Like, they're just trying to get these two documentation so they can get a restraining order on your ass because they don't want nothing to do with you. Let me see.
Said to anyone, hey, I don't want to talk, or leave me alone. He has yet to say that.
So you're down in Tampa right now, Jonathan. You on a different story? Or are you going back to South Carolina?
I am. I'm going to follow the financial crimes of the Murdaugh family. Lori Vallow Daybell is going on trial in Idaho starting April 3rd. I am planning to go out there. Also cover the Moscow, Idaho case with Brian Kohlberger, preliminary hearing.
I have a feeling
How did I miss that? Okay, so we need, and I told you all this. I told you on my channel that the only time that I would need us to come together and get me a plane ticket would be in this kind of an instance. I'll be in Idaho too, bud. Idaho and Utah, let's go. So we're going to have to do us a weekend live where I tell some really funny jokes for tips or something. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. But no, I'm going to have to go out there. This is insane to me. I feel like someone's got to stop them. I mean, just put on my own media hat on. I don't know. I can get my own hat. All you need is an iron and the letters MEDIA from Hobby Lobby. You can get the hat at Hobby Lobby as well. That hat probably smells of heartache and untruthfulness. Ugh, okay. So yeah, I'm gonna play the rest of this because I thought that I didn't hear that the first time.
We've seen a lot of you, Jonathan. I've seen a lot of you. I'm going all these cases. All right.
Vinny, I'm all over, and that's my job. And I know that there's laws you have to follow, and I try my best to follow them.
All right. And I wanted to make sure that you knew what you can and can't do in South Carolina. That's why I brought in Lori Murray. She's the best of the best down there. So don't get arrested.
She's very smart.
Yeah, she is.
Well, and here's the thing.
We have 15 seconds. Go ahead. Last word,
15
Lori.
seconds. You did not break the law necessarily. They're filing these police reports just to get a restraining order. It's nothing personal against you. It's just to get the restraining order. They're not seeking to press charges against you.
We got to the bottom of it.
Thank you for the clarification.
Fantastic. Jonathan Lee Riches, YouTube. Thank you so much. Lori Murray, appreciate your valuable time every time you have you on. All right, when we come back.
I just don't understand it. I just don't. It's insane. Look at Vinny's face. I didn't mean to be looking at it, but if this is okay, so do you see Ashley Banfield, Brian Enton, Vinny, Vinny himself here? Do you see any of those people, on these properties, just standing there on the property? Like Brian Enton, yeah, he was at Idaho. He was right outside the crime tape. But he's press, and he was tasteful. Then you had Bullhorn Betty on the other side screaming through her bullhorn. So, and fighting with the townspeople. So there's a difference. And I'm in that group. I'm a YouTube creator. I create videos and content for YouTube. I don't go to people's real life and stalk them. And it's not even just it's not even the fact that it's not even the fact that he was on the sidewalk, which we all know he was not on that damn sidewalk. He was looking inside of her vehicle. She felt scared. I'm not really concerned about Buster as much as I'm concerned for his fiance. She didn't do anything wrong. This girl didn't do a thing. She just happened to love Buster. I don't know if that's wrong and I don't know if that's right. But I just feel like that's just something that you just shouldn't do. You just should not go there. Man, you should not go there. Wow. When I when Summer said that he was on video, I was like, no. Because when I first got the documentation, I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to have to bring this up in the live tonight. And then she said he actually went on here. Do you think, no, he couldn't have cropped that. I was like, do you think he could have cropped it? But I will show you guys the next stuff that I wanted to show you here. Let me get Vinny off there. Let's see where I'm at. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move over to Idaho Four. I just have a couple things to show you. So basically, I don't look at Brian's face. That looks funny. This came on last night after I got off of the live. Right when I didn't realize, okay, y'all, I didn't realize that we were on the live till 10 o'clock last night, because we usually go at 7:15. I've been going at 8:15 last couple nights. And so when I got off the live, I walked out in the living room and I was like, are you kidding? And it was 10:01 and Brian Etten was on. And I was like, I should have just went on through the live. We could have just watched it last night, but I figured it was something to talk about this evening. And then I wanted to go over BTK's daughter came out, and said some things about what she feels about the Idaho 4 case and all that. And I figured we could just kind of dissect her video. Sorry, I was reading your chat. I do that sometimes if I get quiet. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting the like button as you guys are coming in. Let's see where we're at on the likes. Yeah, we have 58. We could do better than that, I think. So if you guys wouldn't mind liking the video, subscribe to the channel if you like the content. We do live I go live every night, usually between 7:15, 8:15. And I have been putting out videos every night at 6 p.m. And then over the weekend, I'll have a couple of videos coming out for you guys, like at 12 and then I believe at 6. So if that's something that you're into, let me know and subscribe to the channel. Also, I do have 2 new videos I did over Gannon's Ouch. So we're going to be doing like we'll be like going into more in depth in his case. I think that's a really good one to cover. And then also I wanted to cover the Sarah Boone case. So apparently we're going to be dealing with people that are murdered and put into suitcases, our next 2 cases. I didn't mean to do that, but I did. I just picked those 2. Like I was really interested in those 2 whenever I was looking through some stuff. And I was like, wow, I really want to, do these. So Nancy Grace had a couple videos to help us do a timeline for Gannon's Ouch. So I have a couple of videos coming out. It's pretty much another Kim, another one of her come out. Oh gosh. Someone called T-Rev this time. I'm going to drop my link in the chat. No one ever be coming up and doing some weird stuff on my panel or like calling me. I need a call-in show. You can't call me if I don't have a call-in show. But I did watch Drunk Turkey show the other day. I actually went over there because he was in my chat one night. So I was like, I'm going to go over and check out his chat. And so I did. And he does like a call-in show. I didn't realize that he did that like all the time. That was just something that I didn't really watch his channel a lot. But I noticed that and I was like, I want a call-in show. So another mom called in. Was she talking really fast? Yeah, it's terrifying. I did watch some videos of her. I did, and I have one actually up on the, I have one actually like pinned, I believe. Oh, and also we have, so you know that Nancy Grace does like podcast. Well, what's his name? One of the guys that does the podcast with her, he does his own podcast. I don't want to go back kind of, but I will. Oh, okay. Joseph Scott Morgan. And he did one over the case. Now it's a little bit older, but he did one over it. And I think it'd be good to go and listen to that too. So yeah, I just subscribed to the Drunk Turkey show just because I didn't subscribe before because of the Kim thing. And then I didn't know. That was the first time I knew who they were. And I was just kind of like, it was a bad look because I didn't know, you know what I mean? Like I didn't watch anything prior and then I saw that and then I was like, you know, one elephant. Man, that's funny. It was. Ashley, you guys are making me laugh. But yeah, it was, Joseph Scott Morgan. I knew, but Chris McDonough he's always on there, Arlene. You're right. It should be me because he's a YouTuber. So no, you don't have to have StreamYard or anything on your phone back to good. You just actually basically just go to the link and then it just sends you in like the back door to the live and then you just go on the panel. like, you know, I can just like put you like, or whoever the creator is, they just kind of put you up on the panel beside them. And then usually the creator will just make sure you don't have anything like playing in the background, like noise, because it will come in really loud. And then usually you have to wear headphones sometimes. I just realized that. Like, I don't know why, but just every once in a while. I think it's my new setup. Yeah, Kelly D, that was the 2 episodes I saw and I didn't like them. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to try to go back over and give you a second try. So yeah, Kelly D, we saw the same episodes because the Lana one was like, I was like, okay. Yeah, okay, so I didn't watch the whole police interview because it's 2 hours long and I didn't have enough time today. But because I did 4 hours, I think, on Gannon. I did a bunch. But like the Sarah Boone interview is 2 hours long and I really want to watch it. No, I don't ever think that you have to be on camera. Some creators, they'll want you to be on camera, but I'm not one of those creators. Just like, because I mean, you know, I know you guys, most people will just ask like, oh, you know, before you come up, if you wouldn't mind, just like, they'll have you show you yourself like in the backstage where it's not on for like everybody to see. I remember my first panel, I went up and, I had my eye patch on. Oh my gosh, I forgot that was that. I had my eye patched up because I had just had surgery. And the creator, I didn't warn her. I didn't think about it because I just don't think about those things anymore. They don't bother me, so I don't think they bother other people. And I think I scared her. And I was like, oops. But okay, so I'll go ahead and play this. This is just a shorter video. It kind of just goes over a little bit what we went over in our last live, like what the items, you know, in the warrant, what was in the warrant. But this is kind of like, it says, what do the items in Kohlberger's warrants tell us? And they actually have a panel that went up. Let me check something really quick. Okay. Yeah, so there was a panel that went up on News Nation with Brian Enton. He's been filling in for Miss Ashley Banfield the last few nights.
All of this evidence together, and there's a lot of it, you read all of it out like that, what does it tell us about Kohlberger? Let's bring in Robin Dreek, retired FBI special agent and head of the Counterintelligence NCE Behavioral Analysis Program, and Katie Cherkosky. She's a criminal defense attorney and a former federal prosecutor. Thank you both so much for being with us. Robin, I want to start with you. You heard me list out all of those items, everything we know, and it's come in bits and pieces, so it's interesting to lay it all out like that. Obviously, a lot we still don't know, but based on that, what do you make of Kohlberger's criminal profile at this point?
He always strikes me from the very first time he was arrested that here's an individual that has studied this from books, and he has taken all his knowledge from research and no practical experience. And so it looks like he put together this project of his, and he gave himself an assignment for murder. And so that's what all this evidence looks like, is that he accumulated all these things, and the things he executed in the murder, like they can't find the murder weapon or the clothes he was actually wearing, he disposed of those because that's what the book said to do. Everything else that he accumulated, he held on to, maybe to be disposed of later or to be used in the future. But it strikes me as someone really conducting an experiment of an assignment he gave himself.
Yeah, interesting. And he had that survey at one point, which was like an experiment in its own way. Robin, what do you make of, and I'm sort of fascinated by this, the book that they took and some significance to page 118? What do you think that could mean?
That can be absolutely anything, because, and you said it earlier on, when they have the search warrant, they can't seize everything. They got to have a reasonable connection from the seizing agent's perspective of something that could be tied to the crime. And so if you have a book that is used in his field of study, it could be used and highlighted for something he was researching for school. It could also be something he's actually referencing for something he's trying to conduct in his life. It makes it challenging for a search team because it could have a lot of overlap, which is a little unusual, but it could be either or.
And it's something, like you said, it has to be relevant. At least they have to think it's relevant to the murder investigation. So that's why I'm so fascinated by that. I wonder what it is. Katie, what do you make of all of this? What are you honing in on when we list out all of the evidence? And as a defense attorney, I mean, it just seems like this guy is getting harder and harder to defend with all of this stuff that continues to come out.
Well, that's absolutely the case. And I think if I was his defense attorney, I would tell him, and again, I believe in the presumption of innocence here, but if he has any hope of avoiding the death penalty, I think that he needs to take a plea deal and express remorse as soon as possible. Any defense attorney is going to look at evidence that's seized and determine if there was any sort of issue with the search warrant, because it does have to be proper under the law. There were some pretextual stops here, the traffic stops that are a bit questionable in terms of whether they had proper basis to stop him and collect evidence of DNA that they then use to supplement their affidavits to get these other items. So any defense attorney is going to try to see if there's any way to keep some of this evidence out. If they can't, then the next thing you have to do is try to present any other reasonable explanation for why you might have things that seem suspicious, like gloves, black clothing, etc., but maybe have an innocent explanation of some sort. But in this case, with the circumstantial evidence mounting against him and all the physical evidence at that, I don't know that there's much fight to be had for the underlying crime.
It's interesting, Katie, you bring up plea deal to avoid the death penalty. But with all of this evidence and one family at least already saying that they want the death penalty, and it seems, at least from what we know, that the prosecution has somewhat of a pretty solid case, why would they even be considering a plea deal? I mean, do you think they would even consider it, Katie?
Well, in terms of a plea deal, I'm not necessarily saying that they would agree to that. It's more a matter of Kohberger trying to mitigate his ultimate sentence, because if he pleads guilty, whether he has a deal or not, there still has to be a determination as to whether he gets the death penalty. And if he expresses remorse and there's more of an explanation up front, then that's going to probably be his best shot to avoid the death penalty if that's his goal in all of this. That's not necessarily a deal. It's just a decision to plead guilty, what they call a naked plea, essentially, without any protection, but to do so to get some sort of potential benefit, some sort of leniency in terms of sentencing.
Interesting.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
You know, I was just thinking of this because we were like rapid firing different cases. We should do that sometime. Do like 5-minute cases or 10-minute cases or something, and just do. Why am I seeing K-bar knife out? What? No, I don't. Oh, who said K-bar knife was found? Oh, wait, maybe I'm missing something too. What am I missing? Yeah, I think it depends on the book what the relevance of the page 118 is too. If it is Elliot Rodgers' manifesto, or if it is a page from another book. Summer. Our converse are ADHD, just like our brains. They really are. I think that's probably what keeps people staying. Yeah, Alicia, that's what I heard. That yep, that's what I heard about her. That she's advocating for Watts, and I wasn't around for the Chris Watts case, but I did watch it extensively. You know, I'm not going to say I was extensively as in I didn't watch the trial, but I watched leading up to it and stuff like that. This was before my true crime days, and Bella, Celeste, and Shanann, they deserve better. And their unborn baby too. Was it Connor? So I don't know. Yeah, other than the pocket knife. Yeah, they haven't said that they found a K-bar knife. But so new court documents have come out on this case, and I'm going to go through those tonight and figure out what's going on. But they did seal a bunch of different, places, I would guess you would call it. Like, they want to do a search on T-Mobile. They want to do a search on Meta. They want to do searches on, different cell phone carriers, things of that nature. So there is a lot that they just released today or yesterday. And I was like, wow, I'm going to have to look through all of these because I want to print them out, look through them first to make sure there's nothing that I'll miss. So who would have, I wonder, so if he didn't put them in the oil tanks and burial, who would have done that? Yeah, I feel so bad. Like, I just can't even comprehend. I can't even put my mind around that. And I don't have kids. Like, so I couldn't even imagine being a mother. Oh, Drunk Turkey Show was live, says K-Bar found. Oh, he freaking probably is over there clickbaiting people again. I ain't gonna lie, you can be doing that sometimes. I'm gonna have to go over there and check. Let me see. I'm gonna have to be doing that. I'll bust him out. Are you listening, Drunk Turkey? You in here? I got goldfish brain from the chat. Me too, but I've had that all day today. I think I told you guys last night I went to like 4 different doctor's appointments within 2 days or 3 days or something. I'm like, oh man. Yeah, I don't believe anybody else would have known where they were. I feel like he did that. It's just, man. Okay, so I'll play this next video because it's a little bit longer. But I figured it would be kind of entertaining to go through because on last night's live, or a couple nights ago, we were talking about BTK and how his daughter has been coming out and doing these different interviews, putting her 2 cents in when she states that she doesn't even talk to her father anymore, hasn't since his arrest back in I believe he was arrested in 2005, 2006. He basically is BTK for bind, torture, and kill. He tortured his victims through mostly strangulation. He killed men, women, and children. BTK wasn't caught for years. He was able to blend in with the community. I believe he was even a church deacon, but let me know if I'm wrong on that because I'm not sure. But I believe he did work in his church. He was caught mainly because his dumbass wanted to be known. People assumed that he was dead and gone because it had been so long since his crimes. And so people assumed he was dead. So he sent in stuff on a floppy disk. Remember those old floppy disks? I remember those. Never knew how to use them, but I was old enough to. I should have. But that's how he was caught. He was caught by forensic teams, basically. That's like, the gist of his case. So you're going to hear in this video at one point, she says that she feels like they are similar. And no, they're not similar. He was able to go into the BTK for one. I'm just going to one and done. BTK was able to blend in with the public and not be caught for these crimes for years and decades. Okay. Brian Kohlberger got caught within 2 weeks. So, right there. That's just, yeah. Floppy disks. Yeah. I remember those. What did they go to after floppy disks? CD-ROMs. Yeah. Elizabeth Mason said, if anything, Banfield and crew helped the Gabby Petito family win. Also, if anyone thinks CW did not kill his family, then you don't have any sense because he's guilty. Because he's guilty, she said. Floppy disk, I know. I remember those. I remember that. So I'll probably stop this here and there because, she's probably going to say something crazy, but let's see what she has to say.
2005, Rader was convicted of killing 10 people between the years of 1974 and 1991. And we can assume Kohlberger likely studied the BTK murders at length. But did he ever actually have contact?
Why would he have studied BTK at length? That's one thing. Okay. So when you go to school for criminal justice, I feel like I'm a broken record. I went to school for criminal justice. I got my bachelor's. I didn't get, and I'm not a PhD student or whatever, but I was on my way there. They teach you how to analyze crime scenes. They teach you about forensics, how to collect samples and things of that nature. They don't teach you how to commit crimes. You do not go to how to commit murder class 101. You do not study. I've never had to, and this is just maybe other classes are different, maybe other universities are different, but I never ever took a class where I even studied a serial killer or a criminal for that matter. Never. Not in all of my time in college. So I just want to point that out before we get started.
Contact with Dennis Rader directly, or did Rader ever perhaps reach out and contact him? I am joined now by Dennis Rader's daughter, Carrie Rawson. She is also the author of the book, A Serial Killer's Daughter. Carrie is really someone who has overcome unimaginable tragedy. She is now a voice for other victims. She is truly a survivor in every sense of the word. And Carrie, we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight. You and I spoke in January, and I talked to you about whether or not Bryan Kohberger had any contact with your dad. Have you learned anything new since then?
Since we spoke early in January, a couple outlets reached out to my father through a jail app called Getting Out, which I didn't know my dad had, so I hadn't time to deal with that. And they texted him basically, and my dad said no on contact with Kohberger. But he's been then interviewed a few times by some outlets, giving opinions, on the Kohberger case and comparing like his situation early on in prison with Kohberger. So as far as we know, my father hasn't had direct contact with Kohberger, but we don't have proof either way. And because my father likes to play games and is a pathological liar, and he likes the attention from the media, it's impossible to say right now.
Do you think he's lying, Carrie?
I think on this, he probably is telling the truth, but he does definitely like the attention that's come back up from it. And he's going to do whatever in his power to keep people on the line, to keep coming back to contact him. That's a typical game my father plays with the media.
It's interesting. He gave this statement to another news outlet where he said, since I spent from February 2005 to April 2005 in a cell by myself, I know how he feels, referring to Kohberger. It's just interesting that he is now thinking and talking about Kohberger, who likely studied him.
Why is Bryan so shocked? He wants his 15 seconds of fame again. That's how okay. Remember how I told you in the beginning of this part of the live how BTK was caught? Because he wanted to be known, because people thought he was dead. They thought he was gone. That's how he got caught. He came back out of the woodwork like a dumbass. Now he's doing it again because, hello, he's been in jail since 2006. People don't want nothing to do with him. He's old. He's gross. He's a killer. It's not like he's new and exciting killer, like these girls like that are out here in this world, the Bryan Kohberger fans of the world. So he's trying to get 15 seconds of fame. I feel like those two people don't even know each other they're as different as night and day. The way they kill is different. The way they were, BTK didn't get caught for 30 years. We got Bryan Kohberger over here, couldn't make it 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of differences in the two. Like, BTK likes to strangle his people. According to Bryan Kohberger, or, allegedly, Bryan Kohberger, he's a knife guy. Just, He's an old toy put on the shelf, Ashley. You're so right. We are so sorry, BTK. We just put you on the shelf to leave you hanging, huh? Oh, does Rich not feel good? Oh, I hope you don't have the flu or COVID or any of that stuff, because poor Ashley's just gotten over both of those. And you seem like you're doing better today, Ashley. So let's see here what else she has to say. I mean, hopefully she doesn't talk to her dad, but it's just crazy how much information she has, you know.
Yeah, I mean, my father has access to TV, radio, newspapers, magazines. So I'm definitely sure he's keeping up with all of this. He's keeping up probably with me. He likes to sort of compete with me in the media. It's kind of all just a big mess. When my father was in jail, the county jail, Sedgwick County Jail, from February through June, and well, actually through August, until he was sentenced to 177 years. Then he was sent to the El Dorado Correction Facility prison. As far as I know, he's been in solitary since he's been in there. So I don't know what he's talking about being alone, because actually when he was in jail, he had access to other people in jail. He was playing cards with them. He said he was kind of like trying to control the room. And then when he was sent to prison, he was in solitary. I believe he's still in solitary. So I don't exactly know what he's talking about being alone versus now.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he's sort of comparing his situation to how Kohberger must feel. It's kind of eerie, I guess is a way to describe it. What's your relationship with your dad like now? Last time we talked, I know you said that you had pretty much cut off all communication.
Yeah, so I was very close to my dad growing up. He was like my best friend. We went camping and hiking. He walked me down the aisle when I got married in 2003. He moved me to Michigan right after that. Then 18 months later, we found out he was arrested as a BTK killer. Since then, I've only been in contact with him via letters. I've never visited him in prison, and I couldn't handle phone calls even. We were in contact off and on, and then in the spring of 2021, I had to legally cut him off with a do not contact order. I worked with victim services in Kansas, KDOC, and police detectives in Wichita and the prison, and they all helped me. I had to cut my father off because he was cyber stalking me through third-party people that were contacting me through social media and email. It was just getting to be a safety issue. They were trying to figure out where I lived. They were calling my dad. They would see me, like, say they see me tonight on media, somebody's probably going to contact my dad tomorrow and say, hey, I saw her. And it got to be where it was becoming a safety issue for me and my family. And so victim services stepped in and helped me.
There's nothing out there that said that he would ever harm his child. So I don't know why she's bringing this up like she thinks her dad would harm her. I don't believe, and like cyber stalking her. I mean, point blank period. I mean, if my dad was sitting in jail for the rest of his life for murder, he would be doing the same damn thing. He would be like, hey, dude, get on your computer and see if you can find my child. I want to talk to her. My child won't talk to me through my account. Try to get her through your account. I mean, that's personally what I think that is. I think she's just a little confused here a little bit. So Teresa and Summer, I guess MJL is the creator that we all heard that she lost her channel. She's a drama channel. I can't get on there because she just screams and like throws stuff at the camera and tells people to send her money the whole time. And people do it. Like, it's so weird. Like, I guess it's just one of those channels, if you want to be degraded and belittled, it's like, that's where you go. I guess if you're missing something in your life, I don't know. It's just bad. But good evening, Pamela. And if you guys are just now joining us, welcome. We are going over what BTK's daughter is saying about Bryan Kohberger and about her father. And we have about, 20 minutes left on this.
Yeah, and we know that there are people now contacting Kohberger and sending love letters and all sorts of twisted things. And you talk about your dad being in contact with so many people who are then even able to find you. I mean, how does this all happen behind the scenes? I guess I would just assume a serial killer doesn't have that kind of access.
Well, any prisoner has human rights still. So my father has the right to correspondence. He has the right to phone calls. He has the right to TV and things like that. Now he has to earn those rights. They use these because for somebody that's a lifer or on death row, you have to have some sort of incentive to get them to behave or they won't. So they use these things to get them to behave. Hey, you can earn mail, you can earn the right to these apps. There isn't a lot that can be done because there's so much mail coming in, so much mail coming out. And if you think about every other need a prison has, like a love letter has got to be the bottom concern on these, officers' parts that have such a challenging job already. And there's really, I don't know if there's a lot that can be done, unfortunately. I mean, it's really up to the individual person to make that decision not to contact these people. But it's been going on for decades.
It's just unfortunate with everything that you went through, that your dad put you through, that then you had to go through that in terms of, him being in contact with other people from prison who then were stalking you. It's really kind of unbelievable. I want to talk about, though, Kohberger's professor, Dr. Catherine Ramsland. Dr. Ramsland wrote the biography on your dad, but didn't just write a biography, and I'll have you explain this, but had this pretty extensive relationship with him, visits, got special permission from the court to be able to go in and develop this relationship with him. And this just so happens to be the same professor who taught Kohberger when he was getting his criminology degree. What do you make of that? I mean, it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around that they have this person in common.
It's a lot. I mean, it's been 18 years since he was arrested, and it's sort of like this never-ending nightmare in some ways. I mean, I was absolutely relieved when they announced an arrest for Idaho, and then within 30 minutes, Twitter was saying, hey, Dr. Ramsland was Kohberger's professor for his master's degree at DeSales University in criminal justice. I mean, she teaches a class on serial killers called Dangerous Minds. So she would have been teaching on my father to Kohberger, and Kohberger has a criminal justice degree. My father has one. And in hindsight, I was like, why was I not looking when I was looking at this case at criminal justice students, But with Ramsland, she's had a multi-year friendship and working relationship with my father. So they got permission to write a book together, basically. So she would visit him, send letters. They played chess through letters, phone calls. She just researched him. And even for him to trust her, she had to play like cryptology games with him and code games and things. And they sort of built up this colleague relationship. And then they basically wrote this book together. So when it came out in 2016, then I literally had to take the book back into therapy to process it. And it took me 6 weeks to read it. And I literally was like underlining it, throwing it across the room to just deal with like this new information that was coming out on my father and his cases.
In terms of your relationship with her, though, because, I find her to be very interesting because she was always accessible to the media. We've actually interviewed her here on News Nation before the Idaho killings. She's had a number of documentaries and been all over several networks over the years. But now she has been totally silent since the arrest of Bryan Kohberger. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, it could be a few different things. I mean, maybe she is being asked to be a witness in the upcoming trial. Maybe the FBI is asking her to be quiet. Maybe it's more just a university relationship out of respect. Maybe they've been asked not to talk about it. I do know, like right now, her statement is still, I'm not commenting. I mean, there's been some chatter. Is she going to write a book about this? I don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see.
You've said before with the book that he appears to relish being interviewed and continuing to play games at others' expense, including my family's. So obviously
I'm going to let y'all know right now, she's going to be writing a book about this. She's an author. There's no way she's not going to write a book about this. And she won't be, she'll be able to because she's not directly involved in, the case. So I think that she will definitely write a book about this.
Had an issue with that book. Did she ever reach out to you? And do you think that she was teaching Kohberger specifically about your dad?
Well, she would have had to cover my dad in at least her Dangerous Minds class. I mean, I don't know why she wouldn't, because she's basically a worldwide expert on my father. So it doesn't make any sense for her not to teach my father and to teach him more than, say, possibly other professors, would concentrate on him, because she has this vast knowledge of my father and inside access to him. Starting in 2014, my dad actually contacted me through a letter, said, "Hey, Dr. Ramsland wants to work with you. She's writing a book. I want you to work on this." And I said, "No, I'm trying to figure out my own way here. I'm not going to work with her." I kept my distance. I issued a victim's impact statement in 2016 when the book came out. I kept going into therapy, and then I worked on my own memoir, which was my story, which was therapeutic. I've only met her once doing media in New York City. She had reached out, and we kind of had a working colleague relationship, but over the last years, that's faded, partly because I'm not comfortable with somebody like her having access privately to me when she still possibly has access to my father.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder if, given her relationship also with Kohberger, which clearly existed, like you said, she taught him and now is being totally silent. Do you think she could be, reaching out to him, sort of thinking of her next book, the way that she reached out to your dad?
Oh, I didn't think about that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but she definitely follows, a code of ethics. So I would say if she's being asked to be a witness or expects to be a witness, or she's trying to make sure her relationship with the university stays above the line, I would be surprised if she's contacting Kohberger, but I did not think about that. So that's going to be interesting to see if that does happen.
Do you see similarities between your dad and Kohberger? Because I know you've been following the Kohberger case very, very closely. I follow you on Twitter. Do you see anything that they have in common?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they both committed their first murders. Well, we believe these are Kohberger's first murders. We don't know for sure. When they were 28, they both killed 4. My father entered a house not expecting all 4 people to be there. He left 3 survivors, but they weren't home. I don't believe Kohberger entered the house to kill 4. I think he maybe only was wanting the 2 on the 3rd floor, Maddie and Kaylee, or maybe even just Maddie. I don't know. That's just a theory on my part. They were both criminology students. Now their MOs are different. My father primarily used strangulation. Kohberger allegedly used a knife. But the criminology aspect of being a student and having the trust of your professors and having access to data and like the Reddit study, it's all very concerning. I mean, I know it's rare for a criminology student to do this, but it really bothers me because I didn't even think of that aspect. And then, here he was like my father, and, I missed it.
Well, you just have such an interesting perspective on all of these cases because of, growing up with who you grew up with. Obviously, you didn't know anything. But it's just interesting that the way you said you were disappointed because you didn't spot it. Do you feel like you almost have an obligation to spot these things because of your own history?
I think it's more, I feel like survivor's guilt and almost like I have to offset my father because he did 31 years of terror. I mean, he caused 31 years of terror to my hometown. So I've said before, I feel like I've got to offset that. So I've got to go do 30 years of good. And then when did that start? So I was just joking about that the other day. When did that start? But everybody says, don't put that on your shoulders. And, you don't have to carry the world and save the world. But I feel like I had to make a decisive decision what to do with my life after everything that happened. And I had to decide to live. And then I had to decide, what am I going to do with this life? Because I only have one life. I can't go back and change it. So I started, trying to do some good and help people and advocate. I've started learning how to profile a little bit and speak up. So honestly, the Kohberger case was really the first time I've started trying to apply my knowledge now to something, because if I can speak up and educate then maybe we can catch these guys quicker. Maybe we can stop them before they do what they did.
And what you've also shown the world is that family members of these killers are victims too, and then survivors turn into survivors like you. What would you say to Bryan Kohberger's parents and sister?
Just to keep taking things a day at a time or less, focus on living, like make a decisive decision. What am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? Even if that's just to do the dishes or the laundry, or to normalize, like, okay, I'm going to go to a movie, or I'm going to go out to a restaurant, just decide what you're going to do with all this, because you can get stuck. You can get stuck in the trauma, and you can get stuck in the what ifs and what I should have known and what did I miss. And then it's a grief process. So it's the same as they've lost their son. In almost all ways, I understand they can still contact him, but they're still grieving the loss of their son. So you have to allow yourself to grieve and go through those steps, of shock and sadness and bargaining, and then coming to terms. And honestly, it's been 18 years and I'm still coming to terms with it.
Yeah, and I remember after Bryan Kohberger was arrested, and I went to Pennsylvania, and I went up to his family's house and knocked on the door in the night, which just my reporter inclination was to do that. I can't help it, And you contacted me and just reminded me that was you at one point in a house like that, which was a really interesting perspective. And I always think about that now, that you were sitting there and got that knock on the door.
Yeah, so my father was arrested on a Friday afternoon. I was notified in Detroit, Michigan. The FBI notified us Friday night that my father was confessing. I was arguing with them. I was like, what is he confessing to? Because I was still I literally was on Google trying to alibi my father, trying to find these dates. 7 of his murders were before I was born. I was still trying to alibi my father. And then they said, hey, look, we found his souvenirs that he took from these victims underneath their floorboards. And I was like, what? So they actually did a kindness to my family to tell us more than the media was saying. So we knew more as a family than the public did. Within 24 hours, cameras were in our apartment hallway. They're, already with the camera on, the lights on, knocking, so that when you open the door, you're on camera without permission. I remember clearly cowering in my hallway. I was dealing with PTSD. I was in shock, literally shaking for 5 days after I found out. I was literally cowering in my hallway while media was out in the outer hallway. And at the time, my husband said, go away. And so then we had to call the police and they had to come manage it. So, yeah, as we talked about before, media has a responsibility and a job to get the story. So I understand now this far out that side of it, but I also think there's better ways to do it.
What would you say to the victims' families in the Idaho murders with the perspective that you have in terms of, being the daughter of a killer? What does that make you feel for the victims?
It's really, really difficult to think about what Kohberger allegedly did to those 4 people and the 2 survivors, what he's put them through and what they have to live with. And then knowing what he's put those 4 families through to some degree. I'm not in their shoes, but their whole lives are impacted. It's a generational impact. He's taken 4 young people that had all this potential. He's taken away their chance if they wanted to be married, if they wanted to have children. That's all gone. Any impact they would have had on the world alive is gone. And it's just because somebody did the most insane thing you can think of, And my father, he did this 7 times. He went and did this, and then he would come home and have dinner. And then a couple years later or whatever, he would go out and do this again. And then he would come back home. It doesn't register to anybody normal that people do this. It doesn't, you could study it your whole life and you cannot wrap your head around it.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Carrie, stay with us. We know you're a huge advocate for the families of suspects, as you just said, the Murdaughs of South Carolina, another case that you've been following closely. They fall into that category too. Some of Alec Murdaugh's family members who have been harassed, frankly, lately. Tonight we're making news again. It seems not all of Alex Murdaugh's surviving relatives are convinced he didn't do it. We'd like to hear what you think about that and some other big cases. We're going to talk more to Carrie and talk about that when we come back.
Okay, so I think that was all of it. Sorry, I feel bad for her now that I, heard her start talking about her father and stuff. Yeah, doesn't he make you appreciate your fathers? Yeah, he definitely does. I had a good one. I could literally, I ain't gonna lie, because my daddy's not here anymore. So, and he would say it. He'd say, "Damn straight." But I could have done anything. Like I could have killed somebody straight in front of my dad. Somebody walks in, and my dad would be like, "She didn't do nothing." He would lie. He would have lied his butt off. That was just him, I was a daddy's girl. I was an only child too. So if that makes any more sense. Because when you're an only child, I feel like you just get a little more spoiled. I have a brother. He's my half brother, but we have different dads. So I got really spoiled, and we're 8 years apart too. So that's probably why. Back to good. I mean, I'm glad my dad wasn't a psycho, but my dad was a rough human. My dad was pretty rough too. Yeah. I think what did she say? She said something in the interview about something about her father reaching out to different news outlets and being on different news outlets, and I wanted to be like, yeah, the ones that you're on right now, because it was like Banfield or something. But I thought that was kind of entertaining. Is Ina still in the chat? Oh, she is. Hey, Ina, is it okay if I show the picture of your dad for his birthday? I was going to show it. Ina sent me a picture of her dad. I think it was his 91st birthday. And I have it up. And now that we're talking about dads, I guess it kind of just falls right in. But Ina's dad is not a psychopath. Not that I know of, Ina, but he looks awfully sweet. He's very sweet looking guy. So let me know if you don't mind if I show it. I doubt she would mind, but okay. I figured I'd ask you first. But look at her dad. So he's got whiskey in one hand and some ice cream in the other. Now, if that isn't somebody that's having the time of their life, then I don't know who is. This is Ina's father. Now, isn't he the cutest? Oh my gosh, I didn't even see the comb in his pocket, Ina. I bet you he combs his hair all the time with that. My dad used to have a comb in his back pocket, and he would take it out and he would comb his hair back every time he saw my mom. He's like, and I'm like, why do you do that? And he's like, because I want to look good for her. I know, isn't he the cutest? That's Ina's dad. And wherever you guys are at, that's that's some ice cream. I thought that was cute. He's like a cute Santa. He is. You can tell he has very kind eyes. He has everything in that pocket. I could tell. That's so funny. My dad used to put his in his back pocket. I want to hug him and then do a shot with him. I know. I think Ina said she took him around to all of his old favorite places. So I thought that was sweet. You have to tell him that the chat all said happy birthday to him. 91, I think she said. Ooh, that's, I bet you I wouldn't be smiling. Cause I'd probably be ornery. He's ornery, I can tell, never mind. That's why he's smiling. I'd be so ornery when I got older. Yeah. So cute. You guys look like you guys had a really good time. Well, I think we're going to do another members only live next week, like later in the week, because I'm going to take a few days off. I know I've been saying that, but I'm going to take a few days off in the beginning of the week. I have a dentist appointment on Tuesday, so I'm not looking forward to that. But tomorrow we'll do a live. I think, I'm trying to think if we want to start a new case tomorrow or if we'll start it Monday night. But I do have a couple videos out for you guys tomorrow. Have a couple videos out on Sunday, and we'll do a live as well. We'll just see what's going on. But thank you guys for spending a little bit of your evening with me. We actually did a couple-hour live tonight. Not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, so tell him happy birthday from all of us. I'm sure he's still riding the wave. Aw, well, good. I hope he loves that. You're the youngest girl of 5. Aw, and you were my parents' favorite. I was blessed to have them. My father was a tough and protective man of me, especially. Oh, my mom was protective of me too. My mom would have, I don't even know. She was very, very protective mama bear. But thank you guys so much for spending some time with me. I'm going to play, I have this new banner for after like my videos. I don't know if I'm going to use it for after my lives, but I'm using it for after my videos. So I'll play it for you guys so you guys can see what it looks like here. So thanks guys. See you in the next video. Bye guys.